It is 6 o'clock, so I will call to order the February meeting of the Beavercreek Planning Commission. I think our first order of business will be the roll call.
Mr. Ayers?
Here.
Mr. Diker is absent. Mr. Meyer?
Here.
Mr. Self is absent. Mr. Loftus?
Here.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to motion to approve Mr. Diker and Mr. Self being absent.
I'll second.
We'll do that by general consensus. Yes. All right. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Any changes, additions, or corrections? With that, I will need a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd move to approve the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I'll second.
And we'll do that by general consensus. The next item would be the approval of the minutes from the January 3rd meeting of the Beavercreek Planning Commission. Any changes, additions, corrections, questions?
Mr. Chair, I'd motion to approve the January 3rd Planning Commission meeting minutes.
Mr. Chair, I'd second.
And we'll do that by general consensus. All right, the main item, or what was to be the main item for tonight, PUD 23-4, RaceTrac Dayton Rezoning. The applicant has requested that this hearing be tabled until the March Planning Commission meeting. Just a quick question, are we going to have, is it coming back in March? Is it tabled indefinitely? I know it says March here, but I know this is the third tabling that we've had of this particular issue.
Yeah, I mean, normally after a few times we table, we just ask them to table indefinitely, and we did that with the Camco rezoning. However, they specifically said we'll be ready in March.
Okay.
And so I didn't want to table it indefinitely and then bring it up on the next month and look like
Sure.
we're trying to do something not or untoward. So
Okay.
I wanted to make sure that we just to March rather than indefinitely on this particular one. Now, if they come in again to table it again, then I'll probably
We'd ask them to push
it
until they're
indefinitely until they
absolutely
know
ready
that they're
and
ready.
okay. All right, perfect. That was the only question I had. With that, look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd move to table PUD 23-4 until the March Planning Commission meeting.
Mr. Chair, I'll second.
With that, we'll need to take a vote. Just because we do only have 3 members here, all votes must pass 3-0 for them to move one way or the other. Yes, please.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
Mr. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Loftus?
Yes. PUD 23-4 has been tabled until the March Planning Commission meeting. With that, that's the closing of our public hearings, and then we have a handful of subdivisions that are on the docket here. The first one here is S24-1, Colonel Glenn Limited. Is there somebody here from the city to talk about the rezoning? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's okay.
Good evening, everyone. So we are here for S24-1, the Colonel Glenn subdivision. Was being proposed. It's a final subdivision. The applicant here is Skilkin Gold. It's a final subdivision for a 5.77 acre parcel. It will create 2 separate lots. Lot 1 is 2.63 acres. If you remember, it was rezoned back in December 2023. It was zoned to B3 general business. The whole parcel itself was originally B4 highway business. Lot 2 will remain that B4 highway business, and it will encapsulate the 3.14 acres remaining. A Sheetz gas station will be located on that Lot 1, which is the 2.63 acres. Lot 2 will remain undeveloped at this time. Just a visual of that subdivision here, so you can see to the north is that Lot 1 of the 2.63 acres. And then to the south there is that Lot 2 that will remain undeveloped. And this is just an overview of kind of what our GIS captures this lot as, just to give you all a visual on that. As for a recommendation, staff is recommending approval of this, subject to the following conditions. These conditions are pretty boilerplate with our subdivisions. as far as what we received, which was the latest one on February 1st, 2024. Having them submit a digital format file, and then just making sure all of our municipalities and stakeholders sign off and review it. So other than that, that's all this city has for this first subdivision here. Happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I'll start here to my left with Mr. Ayers. Any questions, Mr. Ayers?
No questions.
Mr. Meyer?
No questions.
I also have no questions on this particular case. With that, we'll need a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd move to approve case S24-1 with the attached 3 conditions.
Mr. Chair, I'll second.
With that, we'll need a roll call.
Mr. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
Mr. Loftus?
Yes. Vote passes 3-0. Next case on our agenda is S24-2, the Fairfield Place replat.
Great. So this one is, the applicant is CRMG Group. Jumping right into it, it's a replat for 9.248 acres. What is being proposed, we are transforming 2 existing lots into 4 new lots. The purpose of this was to create 3 new buildable lots for that area, and as well as optimizing and aligning property lines. I'll show you kind of an aerial here quickly. You can see with the white lines there, they kind of cut into properties. Granted, our GIS isn't perfect, but it does have a good look at kind of what the parcel boundary lines are. So the hope of this plat was to kind of clean that up for it. So like I said, it's making four new additional lots. They will all fall under the jurisdiction of PUD 97-1. Lot I will be 5.068 acres, which will be a buildable lot. Lot J will be 1.306 acres, also a buildable lot. Lot K will be 1.176 acres, a buildable lot. And finally, Lot L will be 1.69 acres, which is just the private drive here. So here's looking at the replat here. This is kind of, I guess, like an east to west to get your bearings on that. So as you can see, we kind of clean up that lot there as far as that private drive, making that more squared off, and then making the additional buildable lots, to the 5.06 acres to the south on your screen. And then the additional kind of ones that one in the private drive, and then one to the east on your screen here, and that's pretty much the plat. So, as for a recommendation, we're recommending approval. The only additional condition that's not typical, if there's any existing utilities in those lots. We will ask them if they do plan to make construction on them. We'll ask them to relocate them at their own expense. So, happy to answer any questions that the board has.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I'll start to the right here. Any questions on your end,
No questions.
Mr. Ayers?
No, sir.
I have no questions. Pretty cut and dry. I'll just need a motion.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would motion to approve S-24-2 with the 4 attached conditions.
Mr. Chair, I'd second.
And with that, we'll call the roll.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
Mr. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Loftus?
Yes. Motion passes 3-0. The last item that we have on our subdivisions is going to be S24-3.
Great. The applicant on this one is the Grand Communities LLC. This is a little unique that came across our desk last minute. It's a subdivision for 11.13 acres. It's actually governed by Fairborn. It's in their jurisdiction. However, in order to kind of create their subdivision, they needed to dedicate 0.386 acres of right-of-way to the city of Beavercreek, which is why we're here this evening for this particular case. As I mentioned, Fairborn has jurisdiction over this subdivision. It will be a residential development of some kind. The lot size and additional standards must meet the Fairborn regulations. So here's a look at that plat for you all. it's very kind of hard to see on this, but to the I guess bottom left of the plat, you can see kind of where those 386 acres are being dedicated. And those 0.386 acres, it'll be located on Varner Road. And once again, as for a recommendation, we're recommending approval of this, subject to those similar conditions that we've seen previously. As far as the plans that you're looking at are the ones that will be approved. A digital format file, as well as sign off by our engineering department, who have already looked and reviewed at these plans. So we're okay on our end. Happy to answer any questions that the board has.
Thank you. Mr. Ayers?
I guess I have one question
Yeah.
for tonight. Can you just educate me on the reason that the city of Fairborn needs to give a right-of-way to Beavercreek?
Yeah, as Colin stated, this is quite unique. It is the main land, the bulk of the land is all in the city of Fairborn, so they have jurisdiction over how the development is occurring. However, right-of-way doesn't, city boundary kind of meanders a little bit on roads, so half of that future road will be in the city of Beavercreek, inside the city's jurisdiction, like within our jurisdictional boundaries. So in order to have a public road go through, the owner or the entity that the actual road is located in has to have that dedicated to them as right-of-way. They'll maintain the road. I mean, it's a little odd. Like the city of Fairborn will maintain the road. You know, it's a little odd situation. Unfortunately, the definition of one of the parts of the definition of a subdivision is any dedication of land for public right-of-way. Otherwise, I could have just done this administratively, but I just don't have the jurisdiction. I mean, it feels a little challenge or a little weird to bring, hey, I need you guys to sign off 0.38 acres so that they can build a road on it. But sometimes the law is weird.
Yes, it is. So are there going to be any implications for keeping additional roads clear or salting, plowing, anything with this new right-of-way?
It's a public road, so I mean, we'll have a maintenance agreement with the city of Fairborn in terms of how that's maintained. We have other, like down in Amberwood, where there's a very, very small portion of it actually falls in the township of that main road that goes through Amberwood, and we just signed a maintenance agreement with the township that will take care of it because they're not going to drive 8 miles out of the way to plow something the size of this.
So is that an additional
ICs.
cost for the city then?
No.
Okay. And then will this, I know there are some developments over there where Fairborn taxes are paid and the kids go to Beavercreek schools. Is this going to be, by accepting a right-of-way, is that anything like that? Are there any other secondary implications for accepting a right-of-way?
No, I mean, it would still be road. It would just be road with an easement rather than, it would be a right-of-way easement rather than a dedicated piece of land. So there wouldn't be taxable value on it anyways. So there's not going to be any tax implications. It's just a cleaner, more concise way of doing it rather than the old way of having just a right-of-way easement. You can see some old parcels from the 50s and 60s where the parcel line's actually out into the center of the right-of-way. And then there's an right-of-way easement. So there's no taxable value on that land that's dedicated for right-of-way.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I had pretty much the same question Mr. Ayers had as why we were doing this, just more out of curiosity than anything. So that answers all my questions as well. With that, I will need a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd move to approve case number S24-3 with the three attached conditions.
Mr. Chair, I'll second.
And with that, I will need a vote.
Mr. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
Mr. Loftus?
Yes. And that is the last case for this month. I will just need a motion for adjournment.
Mr. Chair, I would motion to adjourn the February 7th Planning Commission meeting.
Mr. Chair, I'd second.
And we'll do that by general consensus. Thank you.